Yes, welcome once again, everyone, to Cannabis News with Joe Klare. I'm, of course, Joe Klare. It's February 12th, 2019, presented as always by the Marijuana Times. Check us out at marijuanatimes.org. Find the show there by clicking the video tab. Bunch of great articles, social media links, all that stuff as well, marijuanatimes.org. Today we're talking about how you can get some medical marijuana in Ohio if you qualify. Also, why is former California Governor Jerry Brown such an a-hole? And we'll talk more about Florida and the medical marijuana battles going on there. All of that coming up. But first, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Go check them out. Grow safe and poison-free. Don't use harmful chemicals on what you are growing. And, of course, be regulatory compliant. If you're growing cannabis in a state where it is legal, do not use banned pesticides because that will get your license taken away. You don't want that if you want to continue to grow legally. So go check out Natureside, not because I told you to, but because you want to, and you want to grow safe and poison-free, which you can do with Natureside, nature-side.com, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News. This first story by yours truly at marijuanatimes.org. Getting medical marijuana in Ohio. This is basically just a little primer for people in Ohio who are looking to get access to medical marijuana because they've been told time and time again in the news that, hey, Ohio has a medical marijuana program. It's a bit misleading. It's not really a fully functioning medical marijuana program. It is a kind of sort of somewhat getting to the point of functioning medical marijuana program, which is quite a difference from a fully functioning one. In any case, there are, first of all, if you're in the northern part of the state where dispensaries are and you qualify and all that, it's going to be expensive, and that's the only place you're going to be able to get it, and you're only going to be able to get flour because tinctures and vape pens and edibles and things like that need processing plants, which haven't been licensed yet and haven't come online yet, so all there is right now is flour. Now, if you're in any other part of the state where, there's not a dispensary nearby, say, the middle of the state or the southern part of the state, you can still find a doctor. It's hit or miss there as well. For instance, in southwestern Ohio, Hamilton County has like 39 doctors, but a lot of the surrounding counties around Hamilton County, where Cincinnati is, have 0 doctors. So you may be a little drive, even at that point, to find a doctor who has a active certificate to recommend from the State Medical Board of Ohio. They'll check you out. You know how doctors are. If they feel you have one of the 21 or so qualifying conditions, they can get you set up with the registry there. You get an email, you fill out a profile, you pay the $50 fee if you're a patient, $25 fee if you're a caregiver, and then you are registered. They'll email you your registration materials, your card, your identification that you are a registered medical marijuana patient in Ohio. From there, you can take that to a dispensary if you can find one. If you're in the northern part of the state, you can find one, even though it may be quite a drive. But at that point, you'll be able to purchase medical marijuana. There's still a lot of doctors need to come online. Obviously, the processing needs to come online. Many, many more dispensaries spread throughout the state. All of these things will create better access in what can be a decent medical marijuana program if there is supply. It's got 21 conditions, stuff like chronic pain, PTSD, stuff that other states have to fight for to get added is already in the Ohio program. So it has the potential to be something that can help a lot of patients if the supply problems are worked out. And once the supply problems are worked out, obviously price will come down, killing the proverbial 2 birds with 1 stone, if you will. If that phrase is applicable. If it's not, well, I don't know what to tell you. Go watch some other marijuana web show with better phrases. I don't know who that would be, but you can give it a shot. This next story from marijuanamoment.net. Former California Governor Jerry Brown won't stop insulting marijuana consumers and legalization activists. As I said at the beginning, why is Jerry Brown such an a-hole? Alternately, why is Jerry Brown such a D-bag? Former California Governor Jerry Brown is holding strong to his often expressed negative view about marijuana consumers, saying in a new interview that they are lazy and that legalization is, quote, purely for pleasure. Just a month after leaving office, Brown sat down with the New York Times columnist Maureen Dowd, of course, of the marijuana edible in Colorado freakout fame from several years ago. They sat down at a writers' festival, and he made a series of dismissive remarks about cannabis and the people who use it. Brown was reluctant to embrace legalization because the notion of ending marijuana prohibition gave him a quote-unquote vision of, quote, America all just sitting back there and taking a drag, he said, pantomiming someone slumping in their chair. He compared that to the work ethic of Chinese contractors he saw burning the midnight oil to erect a building during a trip to that country. He said, quote, I was over there in China and I looked out the window. It's 12 o'clock at night and these people are all working on the scaffolds up 20 or 30 stories on a building. They never stopped, he said. I said, well, my God, the Americans would all be stoned by this time. First of all, the ignorance in those series of statements is palpable. The problem, well, one of the problems is, first of all, it's 12 o'clock at night, and these people are maybe working on a building in China because they're forced to, and if they don't, maybe their family will be killed. I don't know. I don't know the exact situation and where this came to pass, but the notion that you can't use marijuana and basically saying you can't use marijuana and being a hardworking, functioning member of society, which is insulting, offensive. I mean, whatever you want to call it, I don't know what crawled up Jerry Brown's butt. I don't know what problems he has with marijuana smokers. I don't know if a marijuana smoker shot his paw in a duel back in the day. I have no idea. I don't know what his problem is, but it is often vocalized problem he has with marijuana consumers, and apparently being all people slumped in a chair and pieces of trash, apparently, according to Jerry Brown. What his problem is, I don't know. If I ever met Jerry Brown, I'd be like, hey, dude, what's your problem? It's my promise to you. This last story from OrlandoSentinel.com. Florida House balks at total repeal of medical marijuana smoking ban. Now, when I was reading this, I was thinking, well, let me read it to you first. I'll read some of it to you first, and then I will tell you what I was thinking as I'm reading it. Florida House leaders have rolled out a proposal that would allow patients to smoke medical marijuana, but only after going through what one critic called a, quote, bureaucratic mess of red tape. The House proposal will require doctors to get the approval of a case review panel before they could order smokable marijuana for patients. Under a Senate plan approved by a key committee, patients would have to see two doctors before they could order smokable marijuana for patients. Under the House and Senate efforts come after Governor Ron DeSantis gave lawmakers until March 15th, which is 10 days after the annual legislative session begins, to address the smoking issue. If the legislature does not act, the Republican governor threatened to drop the state's appeal of the court decision that said a Florida law banning patients from smoking medical marijuana is unconstitutional. This is something we've talked about quite a few times here on the show and in print at marijuanatimes.org. DeSantis, who took office January 8th, agrees that the smoking ban runs afoul of a constitutional amendment overwhelmingly approved by voters in 2016 that legalized medical marijuana for a broad swath of patients. Here's my thing. As I'm reading this, I'm wondering to myself, why is it the business of the Florida House and Senate whether someone smokes a joint and tries to get some medical benefit from it? Now, I know when I say why, I'm looking for good reasons why this exists. I know why it exists. I know the history of prohibition. I know all that. I know why we're here. I know why I'm here doing the show in the first place. I'm saying anybody who agrees that guys and gals in Tallahassee should be worried and should have jurisdiction over whether an old person in Jacksonville is smoking a joint in their house. Why? Why is it their business? Why is it the people in Tallahassee? Why is it their business? Why? And this goes for any state. This goes for Washington, D.C. This goes for all of it. If someone is smoking a joint for whatever reason, let's say it's medical. There's a medical reason. They need it for medical reasons. It's legal, and they got a recommendation from a doctor legally licensed in their state to get it for medical purposes, but they can't smoke it because people in Tallahassee decide, well, they can't do that. And if they do that, well, maybe we'll make them go through a lot of forms and multiple doctors and out-of-pocket costs and things of that nature. We'll make them jump through a lot of hoops. Why is it their business? Anybody who agrees that it should be their business, can you give me a valid reason why it should be their business? Because I've never heard one. I continue to not hear one. The silence is deafening when it comes to this. Why? Why is it their business? If someone smokes a joint for medical, they get medical marijuana, they're state legal, they got a recommendation, they bought it legally, they can't smoke it in the privacy of their own home. Why is it anybody's business but theirs? And maybe even their doctors. But even if they don't want it to be their doctor's business, they don't tell the doctor everything. They probably should. They say, hey, I'm smoking joints. The doctor may say, well, maybe you should try this edible or this vape or whatever. Whatever. That's their business. It's not the business of people in a building somewhere that's never going to meet the person that they're making this law about. It's frustrating. What can I say? I'm often frustrated. That's why I get on here and I vent at you people. And I appreciate that. I appreciate you letting me do that. Thank you for checking out Cannabis News, of course. Thank you to Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Check us out at marijuanatimes.org. Keep liking, sharing, commenting on the videos. You're awesome. Thanks for watching and listening today, and we'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.